Okay, so today we just started with the topic cell organelles. In that, we were dealing with the topic called mitochondria. Okay, so this is the fourth cell organelle we were studying about mitochondria. Now, about mitochondria, these are actually rod shaped structures. Rod shaped means the shape is coming like this, rod shaped. Okay, now the mitochondria is a cell organelle which is having two membranes. Okay, you can identify two membranes in mitochondria. So what I have drawn is the outer membrane, and now let me draw the inner membrane. Okay, so when I'm going to draw the inner membrane is highly folded. It's highly folded, and that highly folded inner membrane is what is known as cristae. Okay, so mitochondria basically consists of two membrane, one outer membrane which is smooth and continuous, and an inner membrane which is folded like this. And so let me mark it. This is the outer membrane of mitochondria, and this one is the inner membrane. And I told you the inner membrane is folded into several folds, and it has got a particular name which is called cristae. 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 Okay, now this mitochondria is an organelle which is having its own DNA. This organelle is having its own DNA. You have studied that DNA is found only in the nucleus of a cell. But in case of mitochondria, we can see that this organelle is having its own DNA. Okay, then we can say that this mitochondria is having small oxidative enzymes. You remember, enzymes are helping in the digestion process. Now, oxidative enzymes means these enzymes are basically helping in the oxidation of food. Okay, so they are known as oxidative enzymes. They help in the oxidation of food, which leads to the formation of energy. Have you understood? You have studied in your respiration in class 7th that when food is broken down with the help of with the help of oxygen, you will get carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Okay, now this energy which the enzymes produce as a result of oxidation of food is getting stored in the form of ATP, in the form of a molecule called ATP. So you can see these oxidative enzymes are found along the cristae of the mitochondria. Have you understood? This inner folding is known as cristae, and these oxidative enzymes can be seen on the cristae of this mitochondria. Now I told you what is the function of oxidative enzymes. They are mainly converting food into energy, and this energy is being stored in the form of a substance called ATP. Have you understood? The food that is broken down will be converted into energy, and that energy is being stored in the form of ATP. Now I'll tell you what is ATP. Okay, what is ATP? Now this ATP means it's a compound which is having an adenine, a structure called adenine, plus 3 phosphate groups. 3 phosphate group. That is why it is called adenosine triphosphate. It is having 3 phosphate groups. Now, see, each of these phosphate group is attached to this compound with high energy. Okay, so this compound is called adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. Okay, now I'll tell you how this energy is getting stored. Now, the bond which is formed in between the phosphate group is storing high amount of energy. Okay, so when we are breaking these bonds, what happen? These phosphate group will be released at the same time. Large amount of energy is getting released. Okay, that is how the cell is obtaining energy from the ATP molecule. Now, because ATP is getting formed in the mitochondria by the action of these oxidative enzymes, mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell. That is why mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. Okay, and ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. Have you understood? So, mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell and ATP is known as energy currency of the cell. Now, why ATP is called energy currency of the cell? Because whenever the cell needs energy, it can break the phosphate groups and the energy can be released. When one phosphate is dissociated, the compound changes to ADP. Okay, when another phosphate is broken, the compound will change to AMP. ADP means adenosine diphosphate with 2 phosphate and AMP means adenosine monophosphate. And when this phosphate is also broken, it simply becomes an adenine compound. It simply becomes an adenine compound with only this ring structure. Have you understood? So this is how mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell and the ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. So this is the structure of mitochondria. Once again, mitochondria is a cell organelle having two membrane, an outer membrane and an inner membrane. The outer membrane is smooth whereas inner membrane is folded like this, which is called the cristae. Along the margins of the inner membrane, you can see oxidative enzymes which will help in the oxidation of food to release energy. This energy is stored basically in the form of a molecule called ATP. Since ATP production takes place in mitochondria, mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell and ATP is known as energy currency of the cell because when the cell needs energy, this ATP can be broken to release energy. So that is a major functions of mitochondria. Okay, so next we were dealing with the organelle called plastids. Okay, so this plastids means this is an organelle which is seen only in plants. You cannot find plastids in animals because these plastids are giving color to these plants. Okay, so they are seen only in plant cells and they are of three types. Basically, we can divide the plastids into three types. First one is called leucoplast, second one is chromoplast, and third one is chloroplast. Okay, so let us see the functions of these. Leucoplast means leuco refers to white or colorless. So leucoplast means these are colorless plastids whose main function is storage of food. Food can be in the form of proteins, then proteins, lipids, starch, etc. Okay, so storage of food is a main function of leucoplast. That is why it is called colorless plastid. Second one is called chromoplast. Chromoplast means this is a type of colored plastid which will give color to fruits, flowers, etc. That is, other than green color, all the other colors which the plants obtain is basically from chromoplast. And the last one is called the chloroplast, which you are all familiar with. Chloroplast is containing green pigment called chlorophyll, which gives green color to the leaves. And you know that chlorophyll is an important pigment which absorbs sunlight during photosynthesis. You know, that is the reason why chloroplast is also given another name which is known as the kitchen of the cell. Kitchen of the cell. Chloroplast is called kitchen of the cell because it is providing green color at the same time it is helping in the preparation of food. So you know that in our house food is prepared in the kitchen. In the same way it is a chloroplast which is a room for doing the food production. Okay, so that is the reason why it is called kitchen of the cell. So these are the important parts of the plastids. Three types: leucoplast, chromoplast and chloroplast. Okay. Okay, children. So the next important last cell organelle is called the vacuole. Okay, so a vacuole is having only a single membrane. Okay, vacuole is having a single membrane which is referred to as tonoplast. So tonoplast is a name of the membrane which is surrounding the vacuole. And inside the vacuole you can see a fluid which is called the cell sap. Okay, so these are actually colorless bag-like structures which you can see in both plants and animal cell. But in plant cells, the vacuoles will be larger, whereas in animal cells, the vacuoles will be smaller in size. So the basic function of these vacuoles is actually storage of certain substances, like toxic substances in plants will be stored up in vacuoles in case of plants, but in animals, they are mainly helping in the process of storage. Okay, so both plants as well as animals, the main function will be storage for these vacuoles. Okay, so the single membrane is called tonoplast and inside this they have a fluid which is called the cell sap. Okay, so these were the important cell organelles which we were dealing with in this lesson. Thank you.